Are you aware what are the global safety requirements for the scaffolding? What are the international and national safety requirements for the scaffolding? What are the international rules like British standard and European standard 12811 for the scaffolding? What is the OSHA regulations like CFR-1996 for the scaffolding? What are the ANSI rule for the scaffolding? If you talk about the Indian requirements, what are the Indian legislations like Bocw 1998 rules requirement for the safety scaffolding? What are the IS code for the Indian safety scaffolding requirements, like what is the IS code 3696 for the scaffolding? What is the IS code 4014 for the scaffolding safety? What is the IS code 2750 for the scaffolding safety? All these legal, international and global safety requirements we are going to discuss in this particular video. So please be with me in this video to get all the understanding about scaffolding safety. Let's discuss scaffolding standard and statutory norms which are referred international standards. The first standard is British standard and European standard 12811 and British standard on European standard 12810. There are TZ 2013 technical guidance on the use of BSEN 12811 requirements. The second international rule is OSHA 29 CFR Part 1926, which is safety standard for scaffolding used in construction industry. The third international requirement is from ANSI for scaffolding safety requirements. The next is national standard or statutory norms, in which the first norm is Bocw Central Rules 1998 Part 3 and Chapter 11 and 10 rules number 188 to 205. Second national rule is IS 2750 steel scaffolding, which is the IS codal requirement for the Indian safety steel scaffolding requirements. The third national standard is IS 3696, which is safety code of scaffolding and ladders part 1 for the scaffolds. The next IS code is 3696 scaffolding and ladders code of safety part 2 is only for the ladders. The next is IS 4014 part 1 code of practice for steel tubular scaffolding part 1 definition and materials. The next is IS 4014 part 2 code of safety practices for steel tubular scaffolding part 3 safety regulation for scaffolding. Let's talk about what is a scaffold. So a scaffold is an elevated temporary work platform to perform the height works. Scaffolds include working platform, gangways, ladder, guardrails and top boards, etc. and ordinary scaffolds. So the geometry of scaffold is not predefined in conventional or ordinary scaffolds. As you can see in the pictures, it is made of according to the requirements in any desired size or shape using MS pipe and clamps or wooden bully and ropes. So the example of these conventional or ordinary scaffolds are tube and coupler scaffold and bamboo scaffold. As in image also you can see the desired shape can be made using these pipes or clamps in any shape, in any dimensions, and in the second picture you can see the bamboo scaffold or the wooden scaffold is used to make the desired shape, desired dimensions can be achieved by using this conventional or ordinary scaffolds. Let's come to the second example, which is modular scaffold. So let's understand what is the modular scaffold. So the means of scaffold manufactured in such a way that the geometry of the scaffold is predetermined, means the scaffold's dimensions are already predetermined and the relative spacing of the principal are fixed. It means we cannot change the dimensions and the predefined sizes of the material for this modular scaffolds, means the dimensions of the material is already fixed in modular scaffolds, whereas in conventional we could make any size of scaffold according to our requirement. So the example of modular scaffold is cup-lock scaffold, ring scaffold and the frame scaffold. So as the image also you can see they are the example of modular scaffold. In the first image you can see the frame scaffold where the frame is already predefined and the size of the frame is already predetermined. So let's understand what are the scaffolding components. So the first component of the scaffolding is the sole board, which is the first item need to fix in scaffolding over the soil. Let's come to the second material of the scaffolding, which is base plate. So basically the base plate has to be erected and fixed over to the sole board. So the third material is MS pipe. Above this base plate we will need the mild steel pipes, which is required to be fixed as a vertical or the ledgers. So the third one is the scaffolding standard. So standard is the nothing but the verticals of the scaffold. Next is scaffolding ledger. These are the horizontal material which need to be support or provided in a scaffolding for the load bearing or support purpose. The next is right angle coupler, that is used to couple the pipes of the scaffold. Next is swivel coupler. This is also used to couple the pipes of scaffolding. Next is sleeve coupler. This is used to couple the two pipes or to join the two horizontal pipes. Next is connecting pin. Connecting pin used to join the couplers of scaffold. Next is spigot coupler. This spigot coupler is fixed between the two verticals and connecting pin is used to connect these two vertical. Next is tubular plank. This is basically a platform for the scaffolding. Next is perforated dog or ear hook plank, which is used as a working platform. Next is ladder. Ladder is used for the access purpose in scaffolding. Next is ladder clamp. Ladder clamp is used to tie the ladders in the scaffolding. The last is caster wheel. So these wheels are used generally in the mobile scaffold, which are helpful in mobilizing or to shift or move the scaffolding from one place to another place. Let's understand what are the scaffolding erection procedure. So first we will understand about what is the couple steel scaffolding erection procedure. Let's understand what would be the first step to erect a couple steel scaffold. So the first step would be we need to place the sole board and base plate. So first sole board will be placed and over to sole board a base plate will be fixed. Over to base plate then standard will be fixed. As in image you can see a vertical portion of scaffolding has to be fixed over to the base plate. Next, after fixing of the standard we need to connect the ledgers. As you can see in the image, a person is fixing the horizontal pipe. So the horizontal pipe is the connecting ledgers. So the pipe he is joining is called the kicker bracing. The fourth step is connect the transom and longitudinal bracing. As in image you can see he is providing a cross bracing or the transom bracing. So he is putting a transom bracing in a scaffolding. In the next step or the fifth step, place the platform planks, perforated tubular and tie the platform. So in next step a person is lifting a platform, generally a walkway plank. It could be a tubular form or a perforated form also, which need to fix over to the transoms or the ledgers, after which we need to tie the planks by using the planks coupler. The next step is place the ladders and fix the guardrails. In step you can see a person are fixing the ladders into the scaffolding, which is used for the access. In next step he is fixing a top board. After fixing the top rail, mid rail, he is fixing a toe board protection that is used to prevent the fall of material from the platform. The eighth step is the final scaffold. So the image which you can see in the eighth picture, the final scaffold will look like this. Let's understand what is the terminology of the scaffolding. In particular, scaffolding is for tubular and coupler type scaffold, which I will be discussing what are the terminology for this particular scaffold. So the first step you can see is the sole board, which is the wooden board. Second step you can see the base plate. By arrow you can see where the base plate is fixed over to the sole board. After fixing the base plate you need to fix the standard. So the third step is the fixing of the standard. And fourth is the kicker bracing. As you can see in the left hand or the left side of this picture, we have shown you the kicker bracing. The next is laser. So laser is nothing but the horizontal pipe which need to fix to support the scaffold or to the support the verticals. So the fifth step is vertical, you can the laser you can see. The sixth step is when you need to couple or tie all these pipes using a mild steel coupler or clamps. So the clamp is used to tie all the verticals and horizontal member of this particular scaffold. Seventh step and the seventh terminology is plank. Plank could be MS plank, which is tubular form, or could be in perforated form. The next is guardrail. The top one is the top rail, the mid one is the mid rail. The next is the toe board. The ninth one is the toe board, which is fixed over to or just above to the working platform. The next is ladder. The slope material or the slab stuff which is put is the ladder in the scaffolding. The 11th part, you can see the diagonal bracing is there. In the side portion where the diagonal bracing is put is called as transverse bracing. The 12th part is the longitudinal bracing. The facade bracing which is in front of the scaffolding or face of the scaffolding is there is called the longitudinal bracing. Let's understand what are the example of conventional or ordinary scaffolds. So tube and coupler scaffold, which we have learned the terminology earlier, is called the conventional scaffold. Conventional means it is generally or in large it is used in the older terms is called tubular and coupler scaffold is a conventional scaffold. The next is bamboo scaffold, that is also ordinary scaffold. In India, in many places it is being used. So the next step is what is the modular scaffolds. In earlier slide we had learned what are the conventional scaffolds, in that tube and coupler and bamboo scaffold was there. Now we are talking about the modular scaffold, in which the first scaffold is frame scaffold. In frame scaffold, the dimensions of the frame is already predetermined. As you can see in the first picture, the frame is put, the blue color frame is there, it is predetermined, means the standard is already fixed, the laser is already fixed, and the frame is predetermined shape of material which is directly can be put into make a scaffolding. So by using the frame scaffold we can speed up the erection procedure of the scaffold. So it is largely used in many construction industries nowadays. So in pictures you can see the frame of the scaffold is predetermined and directly you need to put the frames and you need to connect the bracings. Let's understand what is the cup-lock scaffold. So cup-lock scaffold is also a type of modular scaffold. In this picture you can see there is a modular scaffold where the cup locks are there. So we will be understanding what is cup lock in the next picture. So in particular right side scaffold is there, in which these are the materials which has been put to make this complete scaffold. So the first material is couplers, so where the top cup is there and bottom cup is there. So basically these two cups are used to connect the vertical and ledgers of the scaffolding. So in second picture you can see the cup lock node is created where all the four members of the connecting ledgers and verticals are jointed using this coupler. So once they are connected, we need to tighten the cup lock from the top side. The third picture is the vertical standard. So the vertical pipe which you can see are called the standards, where the cup and bottom area is already predetermined and made. The next is transom. Transom is used to connect the the right side. The transom is used to as a laser at the left side or the opposite side of the scaffolding. The next is the screw jack base. Screw jack base is used over to the base plate or along with the base plate, where it is used to increase or decrease the height of the scaffold. The next is the laser, which is the horizontal member. In last picture you can see the cup lock is fixed and shown, where the cup is there and lock can be fixed. Next we are understanding the ring lock type scaffold, which is also a type of modular scaffold. So in this particular picture you can see there is a ring. So in particular ring, all the ledgers are connected, so that scaffolding is made. So in next images you can see these are the examples how the verticals will be. So vertical or standard or upright is made by predetermined ring. This ring is used to connect the lasers, where you can see in the last picture a hammer is used to connect the laser. So basically a pin is there which can be hit by a hammer so that this laser is fixed into the rings. So in this picture you can see the ring lock is made by putting a pin using a hammer. Let's talk about the international scaffolding standard. So first we will be discussing what is British and European standard for the scaffolding. So what is the BS-EN 12811, British and European standard 12811 for the scaffolding. So EN 128101 facade scaffolds made for prefabricated components. EN 128102 facade scaffolds made for prefabricated components. EN 12811 Part 1 Temporary Works Equipment Part 1 Scaffolds Performance Requirement and General Design. The fourth is EN 12811 Part 2 Temporary Works Equipment Information on Materials. The fifth is EN 128113 Temporary Works Equipment Part 3 Load Testing. So these are the contents which we have already referred in this particular video. The next international scaffolding standard is OSHA standard 29 CFR-1996 requirement. So OSHA is Occupational Safety and Health Administration. So 29 CFR-1996 says what are the types of scaffold. So the first type of scaffold is supported scaffold. So supported scaffold consists of one or more platform supported by rigid load bearing member such as pole, legs, frame, outriggers or etc. The second type of scaffold is suspended scaffold, which are one of the more platform suspended by ropes or other non-rigid overhead support. The third type of scaffold is other types of equipment. Principally scissor lifts and ADL lifts can be regarded as other types of supported scaffolds. So these are the three main types of scaffold as per OSHA. So what is the first type of supported scaffold? So supported scaffolds consist of one or more platform supported by outrigger beam, brackets, pole, legs, upright, posts, frames or similar rigid supports. So these are the example of supported scaffolds, where the scaffolds are supported by outriggers, beam, poles, legs or uprights. So where the second is ladder jack, third one is master climbers, fourth one is the mobile scaffold, which is normally used in construction industry. In the same series, pole or wood pole scaffold comes under supported scaffold, pump jack comes under the supported scaffold, specialty scaffold type design comes under the supported scaffold, tube and coupler, which is the famous scaffold where platform and tubings are erected with coupling devices connecting uprights, brace, bearers and runners. Let's understand what is the second type, which is suspended scaffold. So suspended scaffolds are the platforms suspended by ropes or other non-rigid means from an overhead structure. So these are the example where you can see the catenary, float shaped, interior hung, multi-level hung and the multi-point adjustable needle beam and single point adjustable or 2-point swing stages. So in out of these all the images, you would have seen the gondola or the rope suspended platform in the construction industry, which comes under suspended scaffold. The third type of category comes under other type of scaffold, where scissor lift or ADL lifts comes. So scissor lifts are the mobile supported scaffold where platform used to safely move workers vertically and to different location in a variety of industry including construction, retail, entertainment and manufacturing. Scissor lifts are the different from ADL lifts because the lifting mechanism moves the work platform straight up and down using cross beam functioning in a scissor like fashion. So this is the image of scissor lift. Next, this is the air lift. Air lift is nothing but the boom lift in any vehicle which is mounted device used to elevate personnel or the workmen or the engineers. So The type of this aerial lift is the boom lift or the boom platforms, which is there in the image. Now we are going to discuss what is a tube and coupler scaffolds. So in this particular image you can see a tube and coupler scaffold is there. So as per OSHA we are going to understand the requirements. So the first requirement, what is the guardrail height has to be. So according to OSHA the guardrail height has to be 900 to 1200 mm. The next is what is the height should be there for the mid rail. So OSHA says halfway between the top rail and the platform should be the height of the mid rail. So according to OSHA 450 mm to 600 mm should be the height of mid rail. What is the height of toe board? So toe board should be fixed as per OSHA 100 mm to 150 mm. So the height of the toe board should be 100 to 150 mm. Next is platform. So the platform has to be supported scaffold platform shall be fully decked. It means the walkway planks which we are putting for the working platform has to be fully decked. These platforms could be a tubular planks or they could be MS perforated dog hook ear type planks which can directly be inserted into the ledgers, and finally it can be connected with the laser walkway clamps. Capacity. Scaffold and scaffold components must support at least 4 times the maximum intended load. It means the scaffold which is made has to be designed in such a way that its components 4 times the maximum intended load can be put in this particular scaffold. Next is ladder. So ladder has to be put in a 75-degree angle or 1:4 ratio. Next is the kicker bracing. It has to be fixed from 6 inch from the bottom or from the base plate, which is 150 mm from the base plate. Next is scaffolding duties as per OSHA. So what are the scaffolding duties for tube and coupler type scaffold? First we will be discussing what is the light duty type scaffold. So light duty type scaffold is called for which the length, width and height is fixed. So the length of light duty scaffold has to be 3 meter, width has to be 1.25, the height has to be the 2 meter, where the intended load or the maximum intended load will be 122 pound per square feet, or in Indian standard if we say 125 kilogram or 125 kilogram per square feet will be the load or maximum intended load. Let's talk about what is a medium duty scaffold. So in medium duty scaffold, if we talk, the length should be 2 meter, the width should be 1.25 and height should be 2 meter. So for such kind of scaffold which is made of length 2 meter, 1.25 width and 2 meter height, the medium duty scaffold maximum intended load will be 50 pound per square feet. It means 250 kilogram per square meter. It means in 1 square meter 250 kilogram weight can be put in medium duty scaffold. So the maximum intended load of scaffold would be 125 kg per square meter. For heavy duty scaffold, the length is 1.5 meter, width is 1.25, the height is 2 meter. So the maximum intended load in pound is 75 pound per square feet, or Indian standard if we talk, it is 375 kilogram per square meter. So by which we have understand what should be the height, length and width of the scaffold, according to which light, medium and heavy scaffold has been described. Now we need to understand what are the materials for tube and couplers type scaffold. So scaffold pipe has to be 40 NB, which is nominal bore of the scaffold has to be 40 NB. The outer dia of the pipe has to be 48 NB and the thickness of pipe has to be 4 mm. The maximum length of pipe has to be 6 meter. We need to understand that for heavy duty scaffold, outer dia of pipe must be 50 NB instead of 48 NB. Guying ties and brace support as per OSHA. So scaffold with a height to base of more than 4:1 shall be restrained from tipping and guying, tying, bracing or the equivalent. So according to this, guys, ties and braces shall be installed according to the scaffold manufacturer recommendation. It means whatever the ties or supports we need to provide in a scaffolding has to be done as per only scaffolding manufacturer recommendation or as closest horizontal member to the 4:1 height and be repeated vertically at the location of horizontal member every 6.1 meter. So it means the first tie or from the permanent structure for the scaffold has to be put 4 times of minimum base width of the scaffold. It has to be the first tie. Then second tie has to be at every 6 meter level for the scaffold. So in picture you can see the first tie of this particular scaffold has to be given 4 times of minimum base width. So for the if the minimum base width is 1 meter, then the support has to be given at 4 meter level. It means 4 times of minimum base width. After first tie, we need to repeat the tying of this scaffold at every 6 meter level. What is the transverse and longitudinal bracing requirement for tubular coupler scaffolding? So this is the tubular coupler scaffolding. In this it says that cross or X type cross bracing has to be put as a transverse bracing, where width of the scaffold shall be installed at the scaffold and at least at every third set of post. It means every third set of post we need to put the transverse bracing. So we need to understand what is the longitudinal bracing has to be put in. So longitudinal bracing across the inner and outer rows of posts shall be installed diagonally, it means at the facade area, and shall extend from the base of the ends post upward to the top of the scaffold approximately 45-degree angle. So facade and transverse bracing has to be put in 45-degree angle. Next, it has to be put every third post as a transverse bracing, and in the image you can see that every third set of post horizontal has to be put as a transverse bracing. The longitudinal bracing has to be put as at a 45-degree angle, and it has to be put like it has shown that the diagonal has been shown that every it says that in both the direction we need to fix and length is less than their height. Such bracing shall be installed from the base of the end post upward to the opposite end post, and then in alternating direction it has to be repeated. So these are the posts which is shown, and every third bay you need to put the longitudinal bracing at the 45-degree angle. Coming to Indian legislation, let's discuss what are the BOCW 1998 central rules about the scaffolding requirements. Let's discuss BOCW Central Rules 1998. The Chapter 19 of Scaffolding, Rule 188, talks about confirm the relevant national standard for the scaffolding. It means if it is a metal scaffolding, it has to certify the IS 2750 requirements. What is the Rule 193? It talks about the board and planking or decking. Metal decking with non-skid surface. It talks that it has to be only metal decking with non-skid. Matlab, it has to be a perforated plank only, like shown in the picture, and these planks has to be fixed with the clamps or the Bocw clamps. Second requirement in the board planking is no projection or hanging plank has to be. It means the planks put as a working platform should not be hanged. The third requirement is the planks are fastened and secured. It means the planks which you have put has to be connected using a clamps or coupler. The fourth requirement is there should not be concrete or debris materials accumulated on scaffolding platform. The fourth is Rule 194 talks about the repairs or damage scaffolding. So in any repair or damage scaffolding, signages had to be. So the necessary wiring or signages has to be displayed where repair or scaffolding are undertaken. Rule 195 openings. No openings in any working platform except allowing the access to working platform. Access from one working platform to another working platform using a ladder means access has to be given using a ladder. There should not be any open area. Then rule 196 talks about the guardrail. It talks about working platform with suitable and safe guardrail and toe board of adequate strength. Means a toe board, guardrail, midrail and top rail has to be provided with adequate strength. Let's talk about the next requirement, rule 199, screening net or wire net. So where the scaffold is erected in the area where construction activities may pose hazard to pedestrian or vehicular traffic nearby from the falling or object, wire net, screening net are used to envelop the scaffold. So in the pictures you can see where the pedestrian way is there in a nearby area where the scaffolding is put on, vertical net has been fixed so that the material used in the scaffolding cannot put on the pedestrians. The rule 200 talks about the tower scaffold. The height of every tower scaffold is not more than 8 times of the lesser of the base dimension, where the OSHA says that the height of the scaffold should not be more than the 4 times of the base height, and if it is, then the tying has to be provided 4 times of minimum base width of the scaffolding. And IS code BOCW central rules talks that a scaffolding height or tower scaffolding height should not be more than 8 times of minimum base width. Latch to a building of fixed area. If it is higher more than that, then it has to be tied with the building structure. Third one is no worker remain on the scaffolding tools material where it is being shifted. So while the scaffold is being shifted, workmen should not be there on the particular scaffolding. Rule number 189. It talks about supervision by responsible person. So no scaffolding is erected, altered, dismantled except under the supervision of responsible person. So scaffolding has to be erected under adequate supervision only. Let's talk about Indian codal references. So first is IS 3696 part 1. So the first one is, it talks about the scope of the scaffolding. Second one is the talk about the terminology where the scaffold definitions come. So it says it's a temporary structure made of standard laser which provide working platform for the workmen and material in construction, maintenance, repair and demolition. Third one is, it talks about what is the standard and upright. So a vertical member used in construction of scaffold for transmitting the load to the foundation is called standard. Next is laser. Laser is a horizontal member which tie the standard at the right angle and which may support putlog and transom. Putlog, a scaffold member spanning from laser to laser or from laser or standard to a building and upon which the platform rests. Next is transom. What is transom? It is a member spanning across laser or standard to tie a scaffold transversely and which may also support a working platform. Let's talk about the next requirement. It is railing and top board. So according to IS 3696, a top rail has to be from 900 to 1050 mm. A mid rail has to be halfway of top rail and platform. Next is toe board. It has to be 150 mm. Means of access has to be provided with a ladder, ramp or stairways. So stairways for scaffolding exceeding 4 meter height. Stairways are the safest means. If the height of the scaffolding is above 4 meter, then staircase is the most suitable way instead of ladder. Next is ladder. So portable ladders. So portable ladders are not recommended for the flights. So where the scaffolding height is more than 4 meter, we should not put the portable ladders. So they should be placed at an angle of 75 degree from the horizontal if the height is less than 4 meter. So ladder has to be put in a 1:4 ratio and 75 degree angle. Both top and bottom should be secured to prevent displacement, and the ladder rails should be extended at 1 meter above. So the top of the rail of the ladder has to be 1 meter above from the landing area. If the height of the scaffold is more than 4 meter, means the platform height is more than 4 meter from the ground, then we need to fix the ladder. So how the fixed ladder has to be put? The requirement says fixed ladder should be provided for flights above 4 meter. Next is fixed ladder should have landing of minimum 600 mm. It means the landing has to be 600 mm and not greater than 6 meter. the width of the ladder shall not be less than 300 mm and the rungs spacing should not be more than 300 mm. All the ladders used for access to scaffold should conform to the requirement IS 3696 Part 2, which is for the ladder. Stairways for scaffolding exceeding 4 meter height. Stairways are the safest means of access, as we have discussed this. The seventh is protection from falling bodies. So in any scaffolding where the pedestrians are moving from the scaffold has to be provided with the safety nets. In this, a person are moving from the nearby to the scaffold, a cage net can be provided which has to be 3 meter above from the platform, where no material should be fallen on the person working on the scaffold. Basically, this requirement is for the simultaneous working happening on the similar height of the scaffold. The second talks about the netting, where 25 mm size of net can be provided in a cage net form, so that whatever the material are fallen from the scaffoldings are put on the safety cage net. Platform width. So the width has been shown in the IS 3696. It says the 2 meter above. It means a scaffolding is considered with the guardrails when height of the scaffold is 2 meter from the ground. So height of scaffolding is 2 meter, then guardrails has to be put. In a similar way, if the painters, decorators or similar workers are working, then width of the platform has to be 300 mm as shown in the picture, means the size of the jali has to be 300. Other types, if main and tools both are working, then 500 mm it has to be, and main and tools and materials all are working, then 900 mm size has to be. Where main tools, material and wheelbarrow is working, then the width of the platform has to be 1200 mm. Bracing and tying. Bracing is nothing but the support, cross support. Single pole scaffold shall be braced longitudinally and double pole scaffold shall be braced both longitudinally and transversely. Let's talk about what is a double pole scaffold. So double pole scaffold mean a scaffolding supported by 2 rows of standard. It means in this particular type of double pole scaffold there will be 2 standards which are connected together longitudinally by ledgers and transversely by transoms. If we talk about single pole scaffold, so single pole scaffold is nothing but where structure consists of putlug or bearers, the cut ends of which are supported on the standard and ledgers secured to a single row. It means in this particular the scaffold you can see only single standards are there. There are no 2 standards or there are no transverse bracing can be put. You can see it means the last edge of the scaffold or the last facade of the scaffold shall be supported on a wall. So these are the scaffold which are supported as a putlog. It means these scaffold are called the putlog scaffold also. The third one is the cantilever scaffold, which are outrigger scaffold shall be put in a scaffold, the platform of which is supported by the outrigger. Next is the trestle. So trestle or the ghoda shall mean a self-supporting frame, work of timber or metal. These are the working platform basically. Next is the boatswain's chair. You would have seen a jhula in scaffolding which was earlier used. Now it has been banned, but IS recommends that a jhula is also a platform which comes under boatswain chair. Now let's talk about what is the IS 4014 requirement. It is basically for and talks about the definition and material. 4014 part 1, the material. So the scaffolding tube has to be 40 mm nominal bore, heavy class and of grade of 22, conformance to IS 2750. IS 4014 part 2 talks about steel tubular scaffolding, code of practice part 2, safety provision for scaffolding. Under this, design of the scaffolding talks about, and scaffolding shall be designed in accordance with IS 2750 and IS 14686, and the design shall include use of jointing pins, clamps or other accessories required. Next is inspection of scaffold. Subject to provision of this scaffold, the scaffolding shall be inspected by qualified and authorized engineer. immediately after erection, before use of, and at regular period wherever they are advised. In this supervision of work and inspection material, no scaffold shall be erected or be substantially added or altered or dismantled except under the immediate supervision or a competent person. Working platform. So according to 4014, the platform is required above the 2 meter, and these are the closely boarded, means full decking has to be, or 700 mm wide platform has to be, where the workmen are kept with the material, and at least 900 mm wide platform has to be used where for the deposit of the material, and if there is no material are used, then it has to be 700. Next is board and planks in working platform. So every board or planks forming part of platform or used as a top board shall be of thickness minimum 32 mm and with not less than 200 mm wide. So or in case of boards or planks exceeding 50 mm in thickness, the width of the jali or the platform has to be 150 mm. The distance between two consecutive transom, putlock, bearers and support on which a platform rests shall be fixed with due regard to the anticipated load and the nature of platform flooring. So the distance with single planking shall not exceed 1000 mm with planks 32 mm in thickness, 52 mm with planks 38 mm in thickness. So these are the basically planks thickness and width. Talk about guardrails and toe board and working places. So let's talk about what are the every side of working platform or working place being side. So how the top rail has to be according to 4014 IS code. So according to this, 900 mm to 1200 mm has to be the top rail, toe board has to be 150 mm, and the mid rail the halfway of top rail and toe board. Working platform at face or structure or clearance. So the space shall not exceed 300 mm. Protection from falling material. So we need to provide the safety cage net wherever the fall of the fall of material are possessed. So in the shown picture, the type of safety net has to be put. Scaffold and wherever the scaffolds are put near to the traffic area, then a canopy or the catch net has to be provided. The last one is the IS 2750. These are the specifications for steel scaffolding. So according to IS 2750, it talks about how the scaffolding or MS scaffolding is manufactured. So the section 6 requirement says the supplier certificate. So whenever we are getting a scaffolding at site, we need to see the supplier shall, when required, furnish the purchase certificate that the tubes, fittings and prefabricated frames comply in all respects with the requirements. And so basically according to 2750 IS code, steel scaffolding or MS scaffolding manufacturing has to be done. Thanks for watching this video. If you really like my hard work put in this video, please hit the like button and do not forget to subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you.